Dr. Roxanne, and welcome to our show, Mind Works for Children, helping children help themselves. Today, we have a very important topic and an extraordinary guest who is visiting. The topic is around cultivating family harmony, which, as I see it more and more, seems to be the prize for help from many of the folks who come to me and are expressing their upset with just an inability to keep decorum in the family and be able to cultivate peacefulness among the members. Our theme today is entitled Tried and True Ways of Cultivating Family Harmony. And today I am happy and proud to share with you my mom, Aunt Daleo, who will reveal her secrets to fostering a harmonious family life and how she built the world she dreamed of, despite her limited origins. She inspired her own children to creatively tap into their inner resources through attending to the unique needs of each member of the family and cultivating her own exceptional way of being, artistic, calm, kind, and loving. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Roxy.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing with the listening audience tried and true ways of cultivating family harmony. I know I wouldn't be the woman I am today without your good overview and rearing with the special ways that you have done things for us. And maybe you could share, as we move along on this theme, just your favorite ideas or ways that you are with us.
Well, I would have to go back to when I was a little girl of 3 years old.
Okay, what happened?
What happened was my mom dressed my sister and myself. We were 10 months apart, and we looked, of course, much alike, and she would dress us together the same way every day. But we never cared or worried about that. We were very happy children. At least I was. I know that in my heart and soul. And she had to go to work by the time we were 3 years old because my dad wasn't doing too well. It was depression and, hard times for all. And at that time, my mom had a neighbor who lived in the building who had two children our ages. So we had a very happy childhood with these two girls. And we did everything together and had a great, great time because we had a great example in front of us. This mom that watched us when we were from 3 years old to about, when we went to public school, was a beautiful, beautiful lady, kind and generous. And her husband was a barber, and he would come home every day. And I thought that was so fantastic to have the whole family together. But this woman would sit us all, the four of us, on two benches right next to her, like while he was giving her husband his lunch, she gave us our lunch. And she fed us if we were unable to, get the food right away or fast enough. She would cut it up more so we could enjoy it. And then she would give him coffee or cocoa at the end of the meal. He would drink beer first, and then she would give him dessert. Okay, so then she would get this cup of coffee or cocoa. It was really cocoa for us. Get a teaspoon and give us each sip. Four of us.
Oh, sweet.
Wow, was that, you can't, I can't ever forget that.
I have an image of her with a tiny demi-tasse spoon feeding each little girl. How old were you, 3 years?
3 at that time. And we loved every moment. And then she had a brother who worked in National Biscuit, and boy would bring home beautiful, beautiful pound cake with white icing. Wow, we loved it.
No wonder you like that still today. You say,
yeah.
Mom, I'm wondering, while you were growing up, it seems like you were very aware, even at 3 years old, of what it was that made you feel good and what you loved, as well as what you may not have had. Now, it sounds like you may not have had this kind of treatment in your own home, which made it even more impressive. Is that true?
Yes, that's very true. My dad, because I was a depression baby, and my mom and dad, they were very poor. And I remember her sitting us on the floor, my mom, and helping her make a few dollars. And by doing hats, like at that time, little turban hats, she taught us how to sew. So that each one of us would sew these little caps. We just had to clip it together, needle and thread.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother was a seamstress, so that her first job, of course, at that time was going to a factory. And then later on, I learned to do that and worked with my mom a while, but that was later, like after high school.
Right.
Nevertheless, when I was little and I was in school, I knew I was going to be a leader because I would do my paperwork, because it was great, arts and crafts. And I would get up and help my sister, teach her how to put the needle into the arts and crafts piece so that the color would, show properly. And then I'd go all down the aisle and do it for every child, teach them.
Right. Now, what about the part where you said that besides being dressed the same, your mother waited for you and your sister to be the same age to start school? You were held back, right?
Yes, I was held back 10 months or a year. A year it had to be, because by then, she had to wait till I was 6 and my sister was 5.
Right.
And, because she could go at 5 years old, but she didn't separate us. So, by the same token, once I did my little things, like going down the aisle and all that, the teachers in public school were very aware, but never stopped me from doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I skipped twice in the early days, and then later I graduated, getting the scholarship by the time I was 18. Or 14, I think.
What kind of scholarship did you get?
I got a scholarship to a art school, but we were still so poor that you needed a bus and car fare money, and my parents couldn't afford that.
Wow.
So then I didn't pursue that. But I love to draw, and I always did little things by myself, and my art came out in ways with the children, like getting a slice of bologna and then decorating the bologna slice so that they'd have a good time with it.
Right. I remember that when we would come home for a snack, you had a smiley face piece of bologna on a bread.
Yeah.
And you would make, what would you do, cut an olive, green olive with pimento in half?
Yep. And make eyes and nose and a mouth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And all that.
So,
or things like that.
I'm thinking more about how it is that your own challenges led to not only cultivating harmony, but realizing how to create a real nourishing home life by paying attention to each member of our family. So in the beginning days when you were really wanting to have what you saw with that woman who took care of you when her husband came home as a barber for lunch or whatever, maybe you could say a few words how you cultivated a particular way of being with your husband, with Dad.
Oh, my God. That was a match made in heaven. I can't say too much about that. It's just been a beautiful, beautiful experience for me, many, many, many years. And all I wanted to do was because he was a very educated man by that time, because he hadn't had his education, because his dad died when he was only 16 years old, and his mom, made him quit and go to work. So when I met Michael, I thought, and we were married by then, I said to him, the first thing, I said, would you like to go resume your education? Because I knew I didn't resume mine, but I did it in another way. Every night I went to school. Every night I learned. I kept learning, and I loved that. But Michael didn't have that opportunity. So I went back to school with him, and I was with him only 6 months, and he said, Ann, you can take it from here. And he was a genius.
So in other words, he went to first for his high school equivalency?
Yes, he did all that.
And then you were just a sturdy support for him to just sit next to him in the classroom, even though that wasn't your class, that wasn't really for you?
No, I had finished all of that. But he did appreciate it and became a wonderful accountant.
Right.
Fantastic, because he gave us all a beautiful life.
Right.
And I remember, like, when he would, and we did things, at least I did anyway, I did things very systematic. Like, I didn't change. I always had, our dinner was at 6 o'clock every night, because Dad would come home. I'd hear the garage. I'd say, Daddy's home, Daddy's coming, and everybody would meet him at the top of the stairwell. And then they would take off his shoes, put him in his easy chair, and he would relax a while. And then we'd have our dinner together.
What a nice welcome home he would get, right? He loved that.
Yes, he did.
I think that is a beautiful thing, and I can tell you from many families that I speak to nowadays, everything seems to be more and more difficult, and just having a meal together like that is something that's almost once in the blue moon for families, and it seems like one of the simplest ways to cultivate family harmony. I know that intuitively you had many tricks of the trade that you would use to foster this kind of cohesiveness and the togetherness, and even Dad, those days when you would set the table and you'd have us help, to create the beautiful way that you use your artistic ability in every aspect of the home, whether it's interior design or whether it was making the meal and the presentation of the simplest meal you made so special and exceptional. Yeah. And I remember too when you would say to all of us, there was like a ritual that you carved out around the meal. You would remember, start the meal with grace. And you would ask Dad to say grace. Sometimes you would light candles. Many times. Always have a beautiful centerpiece. It could be fresh flowers, or some of the other times you'd have a fruit bowl. Do you remember some of the other things?
Well, it was very important to me to make harmony at the meal table, and we would talk together and ask each other questions and give each child an opportunity to express their thoughts and their deeds of the day or whatever they had gone through. But Roxanne was very athletic, and Michelle helped me in the kitchen. Roxanne would help her dad in the garden. She loved that, and he did too.
Right.
He was very good at that. Could make a dead plant come to life, and that's not a lie.
Exactly. Well, one of the things that I think might be of particular interest to the listening audience is to talk a little bit about your beginning with your husband, which was the foundation of the family, and how you did when you were beginning to talk together. Start really using some visualization techniques and dreaming together, talking about your dreams, talking about your visions of what you wanted to share.
Yeah, well, we always talk with each other. We would take a ride. He took me all through Route 5 and up and down the mountain road there. We'd stand and look over. We could see the river and beautiful New York. And he would say, "Today we're going to be here. Today we'll be here. We'll build our home here." Yeah, I said that would be a great idea. So little by little, we, our dreams all came through because we had a vision and we stuck to it. And we even, like one time, we didn't want to go to work. And I said, I was a troublemaker, I guess, but inspired anyway. And he said, first, I said, let's play hooky today. Okay, he said, that's a great idea. So he took me to all the places I hadn't been in New York, like the Statue of Liberty. We went all the way up to her head. And it was fantastic. And he took me to all the places that he knew I would appreciate. So I got to see New York because I lived in Hoboken, New Jersey. That's where I was born. And it was very nice because it was only a mile square and everything was there. Everything you could want. And my mother would take us to pay the public service and all the things she had to do, she would take us with her. And my sister would be in the carriage, and I would be walking next to it. By that time, she was then 2, and I was about 3.
Right.
Yeah, I remember my legs wishing I could sit in the carriage.
Oh yeah. Well, because you were only little.
That's right.
Let's go back to some of the techniques that you used with your husband. I remember besides this wonderful, we'll call it the technique of playing hooky, which I think is great. That sometimes you just have to call a play date with each other, and if it's at all possible, for the man of the family to break out of a tight routine and just be playful. Being playful is one of the best ways to cultivate the inner child and a happiness that we all want to have access to, but very often don't know how to get it. And simply put, when you deliberately intend to have a feeling of, let's say, having a good day, having fun, being playful, you will then activate more energy and happiness. And so what came out of that day was probably more days where you could appreciate each other and just get back into the routine without feeling too stymied or stifled, because, as you said, things were tight and times were tough, and your way of having, I'd say, enough money to do all the things you wanted to do was limited. So you had to use your imagination to be together. One of the other techniques that I remember you would talk about is the technique pillow talk. Can you tell us a little bit of what was that, pillow talk?
Well, that was our special time. Pillow talk would be before we'd go to sleep, because Michael, by then, when the children came, because he was a good accountant already, and I built a home while Michael was pursuing his career. I built the home by myself, and we saved hundreds of thousands of dollars by doing that.
Right, but it seemed like
Roxanne,
both of you were in the design of the home, and then he entrusted to you the overseeing of the building of the home, making sure everything was happening the way you wanted it to, right?
Yes, of course. We had a very good rapport. There was no doubt about that, but we talk over every little item. And then pillow talk was what happened during the day when he would see his clients, and he would tell me, or while he was waiting for clients in his office, he was surrounded by books he loved to read.
Right, but pillow talk was
that
at nighttime.
Part of that, yes.
And he would bring at nighttime to you what happened to him during the day.
Right, in a nice and pleasant way.
You would have that peacefulness again. Would you have like a candle or no candles?
No.
Was it just a spontaneous thing?
Yeah, it was just spontaneous. Before we would go to bed, we'd wait for each other every night, no matter what was going on. And then, when we were both ready for bed, that's when we would have pillow talk. And he would ask me, like, how was my day? I would never think to complain to him about anything, because I think that is the worst thing any woman could do, is fill a man's head with a lot of gibberish about what a bad day she had or how hard she had to work. I would never do that, and I don't think anyone should. To set a good example for their other children, they should never do that. Because the man comes home, he works all day, he doesn't need to be pounded with how hard her day was.
Right.
You do that out of love.
Exactly. And do you remember how you would say to us when, let's say, Dad would come home, girls, I don't know what you're doing, whatever you do, drop everything and come on over here. Your dad is coming home, and you wanted us to learn how to respect and express love to him. So actually, you modeled it first.
Yes.
By giving him a big hug and welcoming him in. And then, what do you remember about that, how we all got here?
I remember it was very relaxing and very rewarding to Dad. He loved that. It gave him the biggest lift, and he never was late. He was 6 o'clock on the dot.
Right. So I remember you're saying to me, and that's what keeps the man coming back home, is just those
the
loving,
greeting.
beautiful, attentive ladies.
That you greet him. That's very, very important. And I want to say one thing that every person in a relationship should drop. That's their ego. Forget about that. You hide that. You forget it. You don't even operate on that plane. And what you do is you open up your heart and your soul to the person that you are greeting.
Okay.
And
So
sharing nice things with.
Right.
Whatever it is.
So let's see if we can just focus a little bit on each member of the family and how you really kind of zoned in on the different needs. I can only speak for myself particularly, and how you were very attentive to the fact that I had a learning disability when I was growing up. I struggled with, oh God, it just was so torturous to do homework. Do you remember any memories of that?
Yeah, well, I tried to make that. That would be in the early evening after our stuff, after our meal, and then you'd go do your homework, each member of the family. But then I had a little thing that I would go into each child to see how they're doing, and I'd say, because it was much after dinner by then, because 6 o'clock was dinner, and 8 o'clock started homework, and 9 o'clock they were still doing it, maybe close to 9:30. So I'd say I'd make pasta fazool for them, which was a nice, cuddly, warm dish. And I'd bring it in and say, "Here, I made something special for you." They loved that.
Yeah, we
so
did.
That's just a loving thing, I think, anyway. And they enjoyed it and fell asleep. Then after that, happily, give them a kiss goodnight. They were too big. I didn't read stories to them anymore. But earlier on, Dad and I would read stories to these girls.
So in your upbringing, food is love in the Italian tradition, right?
I think so.
So there were little things that you would do with preparing the meal or bringing a little snack like that. Tell us the story that you used this kind of clever combination of a little break emotionally with a thing that you would do. I remember one time Cousin Renee had a situation come up, and you advised her to do something that you did for Dad. You remember what it was? About the peanut butter and jelly thing?
Right, exactly. I said, does he like peanut butter, first of all? Right. She said, yeah, he loves it. Okay. So whenever there's like a little moment when it's like not quite right, or you maybe, hurt each other in some way, because that happens, it's normal to argue once in a blue moon, because it's not, not the end of the world. And I know when my husband would get upset, all I had to do was bring him a cracker with a peanut butter and a little jelly in the middle of it, and bring it down to his office, because we gave each other space. And that was another thing that's very important while you're, husband and wife. You should have your own space. You don't interfere when they're trying to get something done that's serious or non-serious. Whatever, they should have their space. And you kind of cultivate that for them by making a room that they have just for themselves, where they can, he was an accountant by then, so he would have his office and a little kitchen there that if he needed coffee or tea or anything. So I tried to create it so that all his needs would be met. And if I wanted a date with him, I'd write him a note and leave it on his desk. He looked forward to that.
So it sounds like there were two things that you would consciously do. One is to bring a little sweetness to the moment if you had a little rift or argument.
Yeah.
And
then we forgot about it in 2 seconds. We didn't even know.
And the other would be that you could also access this very heartfelt connection by leaving a love note or inviting him to do something. Again, was it like a date or a play date or something? Yeah,
he would be going out early in the morning. You girls would be at school, and he'd say, "Ann, if you're ready, I could take you to so-and-so's restaurant because I have to, service him today." Wow. I was ready every day. As soon as I got up, I took my shower, got dressed, and I was always ready. So I said, "I'll be there in 2 seconds," and I was. And that, a man appreciates that, because that's, some women have to fuss and not. It's not necessary, because if you get dressed right away without hanging around like a slob, you don't have to do that. So,
I think
they don't like that. They don't like to see your pajamas on, at 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't think so anyway, and right. I'm sure I'm right.
Well, you were right about a lot of things. It certainly works in your family. Well, the idea of parents honoring children and teaching children to honor parents seems to be important. How did you cultivate that kind of attentiveness with daily life, in daily life, your family?
With you girls? Well, each one is different, naturally. Every person is different. And I try to reach that part of that person, of the children, that required my special attention. And I would talk to them and, try to, address it in some way, in a pleasant way, and get to the heart of the matter. Like if they would be angry, say, what's the problem? Let's talk about it. That's what I always did. We'd talk about each situation, what was going on. And I think that is important, to give them their time, too. They need special time, each child.
Yes.
You can't just say one thing and everybody, that's the rule of the house. And, I never did that. I did each child individually. And one loved ballet, so we did ballet. The other one loved sports, and we did sports. And the other one loved cooking, so we did that. For each child, the need was a little different, and we addressed each one. And we talked about it. As husband and wife, we talked about it. That would be part of pillow talk, probably, Not probably, but really.
Did you use that time to create family vacations or talk about whether or not, you could plan a little outing or do something as a family?
Yeah, we would like to do picnics because we didn't have a lot of money those days, and Michael would take us to the park, in Fort Lee where we still live, and we'd go to the park and we could see the water and get a nice table because there'd be picnic tables there, and we'd bring our food and make sandwiches, and enjoy the day that way. And they would run around and have fun, go on the swings, things like that.
Yeah. It's always interesting to me how you manage to bring your creativity into the home life and into really everything you do. When you were growing up, and even as a mom, how did you keep that creativity and beauty within you growing and going? Did you take moments for yourself? I never saw them, but how did you take care of yourself?
I was just happy in my own skin and in my own body. I was proud of myself, and I enjoyed my own company. So it was always there, because I didn't need material things for that to come about, because I didn't have all of that anyway. I was growing up, and I didn't overdo with toys and junk for my girls either. They got one or two things that they really wanted. I'd make them select. And because I never got one thing I really wanted, I had to share it always with my sister. So I had a half a doll, half a skate. Everything was in half. So I didn't want to do that to my girls. So I would let them pick one thing that they really would like. And I didn't focus on toys and junk.
Right. But you did do something that I can remember very, very strongly. And that is that, you made, first of all, we never knew that we didn't have whatever it was so much as we had with you, creative time and time to really be inspired by your own, I'd say, ingenious ways. One day you took out an empty box of Schrapp's candy wrappers. You remember those little brown candy cups? Those candy wrappers?
Yes, honey. We made furniture with that.
Right. You taught us how to make dollhouse furniture.
Yes. And then I taught you how to make, in each of the drawers, I would get shoe boxes, empty shoe boxes, and I showed you how to put your socks in one, your panties in another, and
T-shirts and organize the drawers.
Right.
Right. Where we had drawers, and even in the closets. You said now one Saturday it was a rainy day. Girls, we're going to organize the closets and the drawers. But you made everything fun, and your creative way was really expressed in the manner with which the positive energy was brought to us. And so that was something that I could say really is value and a technique that parents can grab onto even today, bringing a positive attitude, energy.
Yes, and you also had a good example from your dad, because he was as neat as a pin.
Yeah.
And elegant. Always elegant. And it was a good example, too.
Oh, yes.
So, and I stress
that's right. Let's give
credit where credit is
credit.
due.
It is what I intended to say earlier on, which is it was that relationship that you had with Dad that made the foundation of the harmony as strong as it was. And you were modeling how to relate to each other and be for each other. Also gave us information about what works and how to make it work. And that you were totally a united front. If ever an opportunity for any of us to try to get one of you to side with us against the other. You would always say, well, what did your father say? And Dad would always say, what did your mother say? And we could never get away with too much. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember that. Because we talked it over, and we agreed always to make one decision and not mix up the children. You know what I mean? So we talked it over, and then we told the children what we discussed and made them understand that there was, a good way and a not such a great way, and we decided the best way for this little family.
Right. I wanted to also say that in the modeling of your relationship with Dad, it seemed very natural for him to, let's say, cook the pancake breakfast on Saturday morning.
Oh, he loved doing that.
And chip in and sort of show a part of being involved with our, being nourished and being cared for. And then he might have Frank Sinatra's songs on in the background, and he would break out into a dance with you in the kitchen.
Right.
How was that for you?
That was very sexy and beautiful. Nice. I loved it, every moment of it. Yeah. That was his way of showing his appreciation of me as a person.
Right. Exactly.
And then I appreciated that he took the time to do that, which is a lovely thing, too.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we appreciated each other. And that, you have to show appreciation of each other in a relationship. I think that's important.
Absolutely. And
a good foundation.
That is a beautiful message. And if that is the parting message for the listening audience for today, I think it's a beautiful one, just to bring appreciation to each member of the family and to focus on what it is that you appreciate will bring more of what it is that feels good, as opposed to saying what they're doing wrong, which will only bring more hurt and negativity. Well, I will take a little break.
Hello, good day, how are you? Hi, my name is Roxanne. I'd like to take you on a journey right now to a beautiful faraway place deep within the jungle. Can you hear the jungle? This is a story about a little elephant named Wonka. Now, Wonka was a happy elephant. His home was on the plains, which are surrounded by foothills and a big mountain with a river running through it.
"Come here, little Wonka,"
said Bunya, his mother, standing up to her knees in the river.
"Let me cool your body with some water."
And with her trunk, she sprayed water all over him.
"Now go and do the same for Grandmother Gwala."
Playfully, Wonka filled his trunk with water and carried it to his grandmother. Stretching his trunk as high as he could, he showered her with cool water all over her body.
Oh, oh, thank you, Wonka. Let me give you a hug. That's wonderful.
It felt good for Wonka to see his grandmother smile.
Mom, can I go play?
Asked Wonka.
Yes, but before you go, I want to show you something.
Wonka's mother and father took him up the mountain path to the foothills where the ground leveled and Wonka could see the herd of elephants out on the plain.
Wonka, I want you to remember, we elephants stay together to care for one another.
You see, each member of the family is important.
Each member helps in his or her own way.
Some of us gather food. Some make our homes comfortable, while others stay close by to help raise the young babies. When we all work together, we can make a difference in the family.
All right, well, we're back now talking with Aunt Daleo, my mom, who definitely had a great impression on me as I was growing up and is here to speak some tried and true ways of cultivating family harmony. I also want to remind you that if you have any interest in finding out more about the product line MindWorks for Children, please visit us at the website www.mindworksforchildren.com. That's MINDWORKS for children.com. And we are playing excerpts from Wonka the Caring Elephant. It's a preschool age teaching tale, teaching, sharing, and caring. And the track 2 is Resting is a Caring. Cultivating the ability to take back the afternoon and be with just a peacefulness. I'm going to let my mom remember a moment that I have treasured all of my life, where she taught me and all of us, all of the girls, how to take back the afternoon, and she called it loving time. And this loving time was a very particularly powerful time that we each got to be alone with her. And I know because she loved listening to music, particularly the opera, that whenever I hear the opera, it takes me right back to those days. Mom, how old was I when you first started to brush my hair and have sit in on the lap?
Oh, 3 years old.
And you would put on maybe what was your favorite opera? Madame Butterfly.
Yeah, Madame Butterfly, I loved the best. Mm-hmm. One of the best ones, but they were all pretty operas. Oh, I loved everyone. Anyway, and always I would put on one of the operas and give everybody loving time. We'd all sit on the one couch, and Mom would be at the head, and then each one we'd kind of lay down and relax in each other's bodies, until we got to Simone. We'd say loving time, and we'd say Mommy and Michelle, Roxanne, and Simone. And let's listen now to the opera.
Yeah.
And we'd all listen. That was loving time.
Right. And then you would give us each a special time where you would pat our heads or brush our hair or do a little something like that.
Yeah.
That was very beautiful, and particularly using that loving touch that you had. Yeah. And I wonder where you got that, or how did you come up with that idea?
You just feel, the love is strong in the family. It starts with the mother and the father, naturally. And so you do nice things for the children, too.
Well, all I can say is that your love, Mom, has opened my eyes to the goodness that does exist in the world and has given me the ability to have such an open-heartedness and to enjoy my life. And I just want to say that I'm honored that I am your daughter and that
Likewise.
and you are also my friend. And I love you very much. I love that you came on the show and you were able to share with us some of the secrets, the tried and true ways of cultivating family harmony.
Paying attention and loving each other and giving your heart and soul. You know, that's the simplest thing to do. And it comes natural when you care. When you care.
That is true, and that is what you've done. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here. Until next week, this is Dr. Roxanne with Mind Works for Children.